All right, so this is going to be a surprise for Graham. This is the first time we've ever done this where Graham has no idea who the guest on the podcast is. I'm really excited. I've kept a great secret. Do you have anything to say?
I have no idea. I have no clue.
Under promise and over deliver is usually a motto I like to go by.
Hello, Graham.
Hey.
Do you have any idea yet?
We keep talking.
How's it going? Good to be here.
D'Angelo Wallace.
You got it. There you go.
Oh my
there
God.
You go.
No way.
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
Hey.
Welcome to the
54th
ever episode of the Iced Coffee Hour podcast. My name is D'angelo Wallace, and so far, the podcast has made
$66,149.80.
Woo.
Perfect.
That was awesome.
The best one so far.
I loved it. That was awesome. What a surprise. D'Angelo, thank you.
Hey, I'm just glad to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this. How did this come about? How did this happen?
We have the same sponsor agent, Mary.
Mary.
Yep.
Wow. And
Yep.
was this Mary's doing?
I asked her the other people that she does brand deals for, and D'Angelo came up, and I said, "Wow, like I'm a fan of D'Angelo, and I know Graham loves his content as well." So I'm just surprised that you're so gracious to come on here. You're so kind to come on here.
Oh no, I'm just, nobody has much going on nowadays. I enjoy talking to people. I'm just excited to see what we're going to get into today.
Well, thank you so much, man. Have you seen our content before all of this, or not so much?
Actually, I am familiar with your channel specifically because of one video you made. I don't remember the exact title, but I show it to the people in my life. It was about how much you're making from YouTube or something along those lines. And in it, you kind of get into specifics about how you got started and how you were working a full-time job, but doing YouTube full-time at the same time. And I actually related to a lot of things in that video just because the way I got started has similar origins in terms of me having to make it my full-time job, even when it wasn't paying me like that. So yeah, I actually really appreciate the content you put out. And even when people don't necessarily get what I'm saying, no, anyone can do YouTube from any stage. You just got to put stuff into it and things will come out of it. I show them that video.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you. How did you get started? Because I saw your video. What was it? What was it? The moment? Was it the moment Shane Dawson's career ended? What was the title?
Exact moment.
The exact moment. What was the
of
title?
Of course. The exact moment Shane Dawson's career ended, and then a timestamp.
How did you think?
Very direct title.
How did you think of that title?
Well, honestly, I'm going to be frank. I just need people to click. So I figured instead of, fluff or anything like that, it would just be like a headline style title. Because now I've made it a definitive statement. So you kind of got to see why exactly I think it's thus.
Wow. How did you get started?
I started YouTube. Well, for context, I've been creating videos since before I ever uploaded them to YouTube. Like when I was 13 years old, we had this horrifyingly slow computer in the hallway. It would crash if you loaded up Windows Movie Maker. I'm not sure how that works, but I would use it to make little fake commercials and stuff like that. And then I wound up going to school for mass communication with a concentration in digital film and television production. So I was still making videos all throughout my teenage years and then into adulthood. And then finally in 2018, I want to say it was 2017 or 2018, I would have to check, I uploaded a video with audio narration to YouTube, and that happened to take off for me. And from there, I've been through a couple of niche changes, but it's been all uphill. I guess the rest is history for me.
Wow. How did you get into the, I don't want to say the drama niche, but
Commentary.
Yeah. How did you fall into that?
Yeah, drama, tea, commentary, all of that stuff. I really just talk about it because it mirrors conversations that I have outside of YouTube. I feel like the best YouTube videos are when you can tell if that person was right in front of you, they would just say the exact same thing. So all the things like my friends or I would come to me and ask me about hey, do you know what's going on with this? And I would be like, yeah, actually I do know what's going on with that. I started just putting them into video format just because I enjoy analyzing situations. I enjoy breaking things down. I especially enjoy looking for angles where maybe I can use a trending topic to make a larger point about something that's been weighing on me for a while. So I would say it was a natural progression, just if you look at kind of where I wound up in the commentary space. But I'm pretty grateful because people do seem to enjoy the videos.
How long did they take you to make? Because I'm watching these videos and it's like an hour long
of super well-researched content.
I know. And
thank you.
I never watch video. Rarely do I watch a video more than like 20 minutes. Rarely. But for me to put on a video, watch it in regular speed for an entire hour says a lot. And it's like, it's watching it's a movie. How long does walk us through that process of creating a video like that? Like, how do you come up with the topic? How do you plan it out? How do you gather information? How do you edit it? Like, just everything. I'm intrigued by it.
I would say everything is reverse engineered, starting with audience retention. Like, before I think about click-through rate or anything like that, the most important thing to me is like, if I'm going to be putting this much work into a video, how am I going to make sure that people are actually watching the video? So I would say the reason people kind of get like, you know, docu vibes or things like that from my videos is because I absolutely always adhere to a 3-act structure, even if I don't necessarily verbalize that or lampshade that in the video. All of the long videos I've uploaded recently, I've written a synopsis. I treat the people I'm talking about as if they're characters in the story, because we all are at the end of the day. I just try to make sure I'm telling the most accurate version of that. And then I instead just try to present the video as if it was something you might find on Netflix instead of just some dude ranting in his room. And then for laughs, I add all of the rants back in after I make sure that all of my information is correct and the structure is good enough to facilitate actually sitting through a 1-hour video. So I would say in terms of how long that takes me, I might get the initial idea for a video a couple months before I actually start working on it, just because there's a lot of people watching the videos. I've got to make sure it's not a situation that's going to randomly change details halfway through and then, you know, leave me with egg on my face. So once I've actually locked in a topic, which might take a few weeks, it's relatively straightforward. I draft up the outline. I make sure the synopsis is solid. And from there to the day it goes live, it could be anywhere from 3 weeks to maybe a month and a half or so. Like, for example, one of my videos, or rather the most recent video I uploaded on that channel, was about you know, COVID-19 and a lot of interesting things that influencers are doing. Yes. Right. And I would say that video is one I got the idea for a couple months before I actually got into it, and then the process of it took maybe a month and a half, 2 months or so. But yeah, I try not to linger on things too much, just because perfectionism is not what's going to drive the algorithm forward. Instead, I just try to make sure I'm factual and entertaining.
Wow. So when you're planning through something like that, what happens if you're not in the mood? Don't you have to be like just inspired about a topic to really get that like authenticity and excitement coming through?
Absolutely. I have scrapped entire video topics, ones that I have put a lot of work into, just because I feel like the easiest thing, like, a lot of people don't necessarily know what goes into a YouTube video, right? There's a bit of magic, a bit of things that get left unsaid between the viewer and the YouTuber. But I feel like one thing that you can't really hide is if you're watching someone who doesn't actually care about what they're saying. That is just, I feel like it comes through from the very first sentence of a video. So even if I start feeling for a moment like, you know what, I actually don't think that this is worth talking about for this long. I tried to make it work. It didn't pan out. I will scrap the video topic. I would say I've done that 2 major times, because obviously that's not great for business. But there was just 2 times when I was like, this seems like something that would get views. This is definitely something I could turn into a good video. But that being said, I just don't see myself being able to bring the same level that I have in previous videos. And so I'm really not afraid to let time pass between uploads. I know that's the one thing, you've got to be consistent. So I have my other channel for that, where I'm very consistent. But as far as the channel with the longer uploads, if it takes me a couple months to make sure I have something that's worth watching, I'll take that, just because I know the ratios are so high in that channel, specifically because people know I'm not there to waste my time. So I'm not going to waste their time either.
What are the 2 videos you scrapped?
One of them was about, it was just supposed to be this magnum opus about kids channels, not the cool ones that like, my little family members watch, but the awful ones that, use their platform for wrong. And like, even though I had edited the intro and I found somebody to sponsor a video with such a dark topic and I had hyped it up a little bit, I was just starting to realize, hey, this is actually a little bit depressing. Just a tad depressing. I don't want to make a 1-hour video about the worst of the worst. So I kind of just put that one on the shelf. You never know. The outline's still good. Maybe I'll come back to it if I just feel the need. And then I would say the other major video I scrapped was just supposed to be a surprise follow-up to one of the videos I had uploaded. But halfway through, I was like, you know what? I don't think we need a part 2. I said everything that I meant in the first video, so we're just going to move forward, and there's always new things to cover anyway.
But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Stamps.com. Are you still making those long and cumbersome trips to the post office while blasting that Nickelback album that was released in 2005? Well, it is time to eliminate the trip to the post office and stop paying full price for postage with Stamps.com. That's right, aside from the time savings you get with Stamps.com, you can get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and up to 66% off UPS shipping rates. Stamps.com brings the services of the US Postal Service and UPS right to your computer. It is a must-have for any business. With all of that saving, it's almost like turning your computer into Jerome Powell's money printer for your business. But seriously, Stamps.com is a no-brainer, and that is exactly why nearly 1 million small businesses already use it. With the ability to print postage 24/7 for any letter or package right from your computer, stop wasting time going to the post office and go to Stamps.com instead. There is no risk, and with my promo code ICH, you get special offers that include a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. And there's no long-term commitment or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in ICH. That's Stamps.com, promo code ICH. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office ever again. Thank you so much, Stamps.com, for sponsoring this episode, and back to the podcast.
That's fair enough. You want to go?
Yeah. Quick question. How helpful were your college studies in like photography and video and stuff like that to creating these like amazing hour-long YouTube documentaries?
Thank you. Well, I'll say this. I learned a lot in college about how to write, and I feel like writing is like my secret superpower. No one really thinks about it too much, but that is the backbone of everything I've posted. That's like over a certain time frame is just my writing ability, which I'm trying to hone day in and day out. I'll even write things and then not turn them into videos just so I can get that practice. But that's it. Anything that you see visually, like even right now, my bright setup, I've got kind of like this daylight emulation thing going on, and what are my angles and what equipment do I need to use and why does everything sound so crisp? I got all of that from YouTube. So I try not to be bitter about it because I'm like, you know what? No, it's fine. I learned how to write in school. That's the thing that you learn how to do when you're in school. But as far as teaching me how to like make video, I really had to get out there and do it all myself. If you're interested in doing this kind of thing, like you do not need to go to school. You absolutely can watch the same YouTube videos that I consumed and get some like banger quality.
Yeah, I was the same way. I learned everything from YouTube. I would say now, like, basically half my adult life is just learned from YouTube. If there's something you don't know,
Yes.
there's already a YouTube video on it. Someone's nice and explaining it. Not only that, but sometimes you could comment on those old videos, like 3 years old, on like niche topics. And you comment, like, hey, I got a question about this. They'll respond. And they get so into it when you comment on an old video like that. And you're like, wow, someone watched it from 3 years ago. I love it. But going back to that video you scrapped, I was about to say, that sounds like a really interesting topic that I think even though it might be a little bit dark, couldn't that still be a benefit to highlight a potential issue? Like, what did you find from that video? Because I almost want to learn a little bit about what's going on, and I feel like it might be important to highlight some of that.
Great question.
Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, I still have all of the research done. So the synopsis for this video was like an expository documentary style video, like an hour long minimum, about 9 YouTubers that I had selected. Of course, I don't want to run through the names today.
Sure.
Some of them very well known, some of them not, but they were eerily similar case studies to me about how easy it is to build up a following and then kind of use that following for the wrong reason. And so my main thesis for this video was maybe we can look into ways of preventing this from happening in the future instead of just getting shocked every time it happens. As far as potential solutions, unfortunately, I was just more so going to make the case of like, you've got to be careful in terms of, kids watching content, because YouTube thankfully does not just, ban people left and right, which I think is a good thing that they don't do that. You've kind of got to be the ban hammer in your own kid's life. Just make sure like they're not interacting. Just stranger danger never went away. And I think parasocial relationships, in a way, have convinced an entire generation of children that stranger danger is not an issue anymore. So that's kind of just where I was going to go with the video. And honestly, I really do still like that thesis so much. I may still see if I can turn it into something or get something out of it, because I feel like it's an important point to make, especially just if you look at nowadays, the way people get so obsessed with internet personalities, it kind of winds up excusing a multitude of sins. And I think there's interesting psychological aspects at play, but bottom line, you've just got to be careful.
What are the dangerous aspects? Because the first thing that comes to mind, I'm like, it's advertising. It's like, it's getting to their emotions and having them go, mommy, daddy, I gotta get the merch just dropped. I gotta get the merch. And it's like some $80 shirt. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
What is the danger from your perspective? Maybe I'm totally off. Maybe it's something else. I don't know.
There's a range of behaviors. Undisclosed advertising, or just flat out misleading advertising to kids, is definitely a pretty big one. There are some great videos about that though already. Like I want to say Nerd City perhaps has a video along those lines.
Yes.
But in terms of just the I guess immediate danger, the imminent danger of the people I had selected, it was more so people who would like establish inappropriate creator fan relationships, whether that was through DMs or things like that. And so some of these people, like when they got caught, they were just kind of like, oh, that's it, the jig is up. And I'm like, yeah, maybe it is. And then other people are just still uploading and getting hundreds of thousands of views like nothing happened. And it's just like, I feel like people don't realize maybe the extent to which this sort of thing happens. Just, it's really interesting, but at the same time, I was going to be careful with the video to not kind of do a repeat of I don't remember which adpocalypse it was or how many we've been through, but do you remember there was that one scare in the media of like YouTube is running a secret ring of like inappropriate videos?
Oh yeah. That was Pay Money Wubby did that video. What? Yeah, it was Pay Money Wubby, and that was like, I mean, we won't go into too much detail here, but yeah, it was basically a series of videos. Like, the algorithm was so in tune to what people wanted to watch that if you started going down the rabbit hole of videos on YouTube featuring people who are underage, the algorithm would be like, here's more, here's more,
here's more. Kind of messed up.
And then when you're in it, then it hyper focuses into a community of people on YouTube commenting on underage creators' channels. Inappropriate remarks and like networking with each other. It was wild. It was Pay Money Wubby's video highlighted this, and it was because of his video that I believe YouTube really changed their policies, and that's where they started like saying this is meant for children, and then if it is, you can't comment on those videos. They got very selective about like which videos are recommended. But yeah, it's up to the creators, I feel like, to bring awareness to these topics, because you would have no idea. Even for Pay Money, like I don't know how you find stuff like that, but I would imagine at YouTube, like you wouldn't think of something like that until it gets brought to your attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I found like a lot of things that go on that people just have no idea about are what happens when you sign out. Like, I notice YouTube is an extremely different platform when I'm signed out versus when I'm signed in. Because when I'm signed in, it's a lot of streamers, a lot of commentary channels, obviously, because that's my niche. And so I watch a lot of that content as well for inspiration and entertainment. But then when I sign out, it's like, what is this website and why do all of these videos have like 15 million plus views and I've never seen any of them? It's like almost most people, this is not my original idea, by the way. I want to, was it Drew Gooden? Someone has already done the theory behind this, but there are like bubbles on YouTube, and a lot of us are within, I would say, like the main YouTube bubble. We consider ourselves YouTubers or YouTube enthusiast. We watch, car videos, beauty videos, commentary, etc. Anything like that you think of when you think YouTube. But there are other bubbles that we rarely cross over into. For example, kids YouTube. I feel like the majority of adults are not 100% familiar with kids YouTubers, which makes sense unless of course you have a kid. So that was another thing too. You actually jogged my memory. One of the things I was going to mention was part of why people keep getting away with this sort of thing is because understandably nobody's there to see what's really going on except the kids and the creators. So when there's no sort of like anybody watching and being like, hey, this is really weird, don't you think you should call this out? Just the most nonsense things wind up happening. But yeah, I find YouTube as a whole just pretty fascinating in terms of the way the website subdivides itself every few years into various communities and the interplay between them for sure.
Yeah, so it's okay. So your danger was then the relationships that creators were making with an audience that was maybe too impressionable. Was that your angle?
Yeah, for sure. Like there's a range of this, right? Like maybe you've got creators who are just trying to scam kids with the free iPhone giveaway. That's like, I would say mild, obviously not good. But then if you want to scale it upward, we have like the Austin Jones of the world, God forbid. So it's just like anywhere between there, basically, you've just got to be careful, I would say. And it's like something I'm familiar with too, just because I don't have any kids yet, but my siblings, for example, are a lot younger than me. So sometimes I'll just like see what they're watching and I'm just like, wow, if I wasn't in this room right now, like no adult really would have seen this. No one would know like what these kids channels are pumping out. It's so strange.
Do you have insurance?
What kind of insurance?
Media insurance.
No. What do you mean?
Oh, you got to get insurance, man. Go and get media insurance. It's going to cost you anywhere from $5 to $15. No, even 15. I pay $12,000 a year for media insurance that covers me in the event something were to come up and I say the wrong thing. I think, especially when you start going into those areas, be important to have insurance. Hopefully you'll never need it. But the last thing that I'd want to see happen to you is you say something about like a creator, even if you cover it objectively and they say, you know what, you painted me in a bad light. I disagree with that. That's not true. My business suffered. I lost out a sponsorship. And all of a sudden now, like, I'm not making money anymore. Well, then they come to you and they say, well, you know what? I'm going to be suing D'angelo Wallace for spreading these rumors that are not true. Even if you cover it objectively and you kind of report facts, you might want to do. I'm just. It's a tax write-off and it's good peace of mind.
I like tax write-offs.
Yeah, I would do it. I would do it for the first 2 years. I did not have any sort of media insurance. And then when I came out with my video about Apple, like I got sued by Apple.
No way.
So many. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was just an April Fool's joke. But so basically, I made a video about why I'm not getting the Apple credit card, and it got like a million. It got like 1 million views in like 2 days. And April Fool's was coming up, so I thought, it would be really funny if I made a video. I'm getting sued by Apple. And I post that video, I'm getting sued by Apple. And that video blew up. And I think it got like 700,000 views the first day. On a channel, by the way, where I think I had like 300, 400,000 subscribers max.
Yeah.
And I got really like worried. I'm like, oh my, like, is this bad that I'm like lying in an April Fool's joke that Apple sued me? And so, of course, I called the insurance company and I was like, hey, I want to get media insurance. I set it up. They call me back like a few hours later and they said they're denying me coverage. And I said, what? Why? They said, because you're in the middle, like you're getting sued. Like we can't cover you after you're getting sued. I'm like,
okay,
no,
that's
you gotta
iconic.
watch the ending. You got to watch the ending. It was a joke. And then sure enough, it's like, no, it's fine. But still, I would do that.
That's hilarious.
It's worth it.
Yeah, no, definitely something I would look into. It wouldn't be the first time I've had people who didn't agree with my, analysis of situations trying to come after me.
How often does that happen? Are you worried about that?
I wouldn't say I'm overly worried, specifically just because I consider it important to fact check everything. Thankfully, I don't have any videos on my channel that are just like blaringly wrong information or like I had to make something up to be sensational. So for the most part, I find that people find it difficult to really get mad at just me, showing here's what happened and here's what I think about it. But I've definitely had incidents in the past where I guess somebody did not appreciate my analysis of the situation and they tried to escalate it into like a weird legal situation, but thankfully it didn't pan out.
How do they try to do that? You don't have to say who it is, but like
okay,
how would they do they make a video response or
right. So you would think, or at least I would think, right? First of all, people make all kinds of videos about me. I really don't think like it's my job to make sure that this person goes down. But let's say I was thinking along those lines. I probably would just try to get the video taken down or something like that. That's my assumption. But no, instead, this individual tries to convince everyone that I doxed them. And that I was they reported me to the police. I think they explicitly said that, and that they can't talk about it anymore because now it's being investigated.
But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Ladder. Life is amazing and full of beautiful surprises. Whether my ears are being blessed by my favorite pianist, I'm admiring the inspiring marine life at my favorite lookout, or I'm eating all-you-can-eat sushi with some of my best friends. It's moments like these that act as a constant reminder of how beautiful life is and exactly why it should be protected. On that note, it makes sense why people get life insurance, especially long-term coverage, which is surprisingly affordable. Why not pay a little bit each month to protect the ones that you love? If you're asking yourself this question, choose Ladder. Ladder makes it impressively fast and easy to get covered. You just need a few minutes and a phone or a laptop to apply. Ladder's smart algorithms work in real time, so you'll find out instantly if you're approved. And there are no hidden fees and you can cancel at any time. And since life insurance costs more as you age, now is the perfect time to cross it off your list. So check out Ladder today to see if you're instantly approved. Go to ladderlife.com/icedcoffee. That's ladder, LADDER life.com/icedcoffee. Ladderlife.com/icedcoffee. Thank you so much, Ladder, for sponsoring this episode, and back to the podcast.
So that was a lot different than, hey, I'm just going to try to use copyright tools to get your video taken down. So I had to go on like this extended part 2 of like, hey, I definitely didn't dox anyone. I understand you might not have liked what was in that video, but I don't know why we're trying to go down this path. And of course, nothing came of it because nothing was filed because nobody was doxed. But yeah, people, I don't know. I just feel like just reach out to me, maybe say, hey, do you want to have like an open line of communication? But yeah, no, people really do the most, I would say.
Is there anyone that you would be nervous to make a video about, or any concept you'd be nervous to make a video about due to like legal repercussions?
Legal repercussions, not necessarily. Well, I would have to think about it because I tend to do like risk assessment in the planning phase before I ever actually commit to a video. So, but I don't know. In terms of that, I would say YouTubers are kind of good about not trying to take any and everything down. I mean, there's a precedent established. I forget the year, but when Matt, what's his name? I forgot, tried to sue H3H3 and then that got taken all the way to court and a precedent was set there. So most of the time I don't have to like factor that into it because honestly, it probably wouldn't wind up going well as long as everything is fair use. But that being said, I still just try to rather be safe than sorry because like who really wants the headache of it all? And I do definitely recognize with so many people watching the videos, it's just important to me that the content in the videos is accurate, something that stands the test of time, something that people can come back again because they were able to verify independently that what was in there was correct. And that saves me a lot of problems versus just an approach of I have to be right and I have to get this topic right the second before it fizzles out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you have people reaching out after you make a video on them?
I don't check. So I don't really read my DMs or even check my email. My manager helps me out with that just because I don't really need to know for the most part, I would say.
Yeah, I've noticed too on YouTube, you're very much right. There seems to be a line between different creators where it's like, you don't take their video down. Like, that's too far.
Yeah.
Like, you could make a video about them, you could call them out, you can get angry, but you don't take their video down. That's like the biggest no-no because they know for themselves, like, how they would feel getting a video taken down is the same for somebody else. So that's the line. Yeah. Nobody crosses that. If you're unhappy with a video, you make a response to it. That's the proper way.
Even when YouTube alerts me and the content not the content ID, or yeah, it is kind of the content ID section. And YouTube's like, hey, there's a 100% match of your video in someone else's video. I still won't take it down. The only time I did was, it wasn't a 100% match. It was literally just my video, which was still up on my channel. Someone downloaded it and put it on their channel with like 5 subscribers. And I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. So, but no, like, even if you like watch my video all the way through and it takes you 2 hours and you include 100% of my footage, I'll just still leave it there because I understand it's transformative. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like creators don't want to be like the YouTube bots, because anytime I'm interacting with old media content, like things from NBC or UMG, because Content ID, the bot system, is so incapable of distinguishing between fair use and re-uploads, just everything gets claimed, struck down, blocked worldwide. So I just feel like we don't want to facilitate that upon ourselves when it's already just everywhere if you use any bit of copyrighted material.
What percentage of your videos do end up getting claimed?
Not very many, thankfully, because I try to proactively edit them in a way where that's not going to be a problem. But anytime I do any sort of music content, because I have a few music reviews on my channel, I can just know that's gone. Like, that's not something I'm going to make money from. Also, I do a lot of live streaming, and every single live stream that I upload to YouTube gets claimed, and half of them get blocked, which is
why?
Very counterintuitive. Well, because on my Twitch stream, I just react to a lot of content. Like, for example, on the Twitch stream, I might say, hey, I was on the Iced Coffee Hour podcast. Let's check me out there. So obviously, like, watching a YouTuber's content, I know I'm going to be fine. But then if I'm on stream, like, hey, look at this SNL skit. It's relevant to today's topic.
Yeah, they're horrible. Yeah. Kevin did an SNL skit. I think it was like a 2-hour long live stream. And I think you watched them for like 15 seconds. The whole thing, it was like blocked in countries. The whole video was demonetized. They were so bad for just a few seconds in the background while he was talking over them.
SNL was definitely the biggest one that jumped out to me, because I was like, this was a very short video in a 6-hour live stream. How does this facilitate blocking it worldwide? But hey, them's the rules apparently. So again, I just try to work around them instead of, running into that wall. But it's just such a hassle. I can definitely understand why there's like an unsaid etiquette, like just leave the video up. Don't be someone else's headache in that regard.
Yeah. So when you were making these videos, were you going to college full time? How did this transition for you into a career?
So I graduated college in 2018. Yes, I always have to remember. And I had 3,000 subscribers. That was like the last sub count I remember having while I was in college. And it was interesting because I had just started getting like traction. Because I remember telling my friends like, isn't this so weird? I didn't call myself a YouTuber because I didn't have a bunch of videos on YouTube. I had just put one there, and I was telling my friends like, look, this video has over 1,000 views. Isn't that so interesting? And we were all like, yeah, that's so cool, because we weren't YouTubers. So it was just like funny that one of us had gotten like a crumb of YouTube engagement. And then I just remember like walking out of the cafeteria, and my friend Brandon from the other side was like, you have 3,000 subscribers now. You're famous. Joking, of course, because 3,000 is not that much. But I remember thinking, that seems like a lot. It was kind of in that moment when I realized, okay, if I went from 36 subscribers to 3,000 subscribers, I want to see what the logical extreme is. And now, of course, we're approaching, 2.5 million or something like that. Yeah. So it's been all uphill from there, thankfully.
Yeah. So were you just, how often were you making videos, and what grew your channel so quickly?
I would say initially it was the consistency. So right after college, having graduated with honors, with my bachelor's degree, of course, I immediately got a job at a gas station, unironically, as one does. And the whole time I was there, I said to myself, you know what? And maybe this was dumb, but instead of like trying to force my way into this industry, whatever nebulous industry you're supposed to enter after college, I was like, I'm just going to make this YouTube thing work. So simultaneously, while I was working part-time at a gas station, it was about 32 hours a week, I was working full-time YouTube and making like nothing. And I said to myself, the very first month that I make the same amount of money or more from YouTube than I'm making at this gas station job, I'm quitting and I'm going all in, even though I was already going all in. There were several nights I didn't sleep. So made that decision in February. I want to say it was February of 2019. I was like 2019 or 2018. Time is not real. But either way, I made that decision in February. I remember that. And by April, just because of the sheer amount of work I had done hitherto and the fact that I had uploaded 6 weeks in a row, I made enough money that month to justify quitting my gas station job. And then from there, I've been fortunate enough to get like, you know, brand deals and different partnerships and of course ad revenue. And now looking back at my life, I can see that if I had tried to go the route of like, I'm out of college, I'm going to apply to every studio in my city and I'm going to, you know, go up the chain, I would not be here where I am right now. So I'm very glad I did what I did.
Wow.
How many subscribers did you have at the time of going YouTube full time and quitting your gas station job?
Now that's a good question. Let's find out, if you don't mind me taking a split second. Hold on. So conveniently, I used to say my subscriber count at the end of every single video in that specific time. And I can see right here, I had 111,000 subscribers when I made the decision.
Wow,
like,
that's a lot.
That's it. Yeah, definitely. It's the thing about like sub count, views, and monthly revenue is it fluctuates wildly. The reason I don't like really pay attention to Social Blade in terms of like how much it estimates other people are making is because so much of it has to do with CPM and frequency more than anything. Like if you have 100,000 subscribers and you're uploading every single day and you're getting 50,000 views per video, okay, well then you're definitely going to get like, what is that, over 1 million views in a month. You're definitely going to be making some. But because I was only really able to upload once a week, and the videos were not the kind of content that gets like the views I'm getting now, it just wasn't necessarily enough to justify. Plus, my CPM used to be pretty bad. That I never was able to put my finger on. It's definitely gotten a lot better. I mean, I don't have, you know, finance CPM by any means, but we were able to pick that up off the ground. But yeah, right at April 8th, 2019 was the very first video I uploaded immediately after quitting my gas station job, and it felt good because I was like, this is it now, and if this goes away, I'm gonna have to walk right back down the street into there while I find another job. It was very interesting.
That would be a funny title for ours: the day D'Angelo Wallace quit his job. I don't know.
That's good.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
We want to do some play on words. I think with this
moment D'Angelo Wallace quit his job.
I'll give you the timestamp.
Yeah.
I'll give you the
D'Angelo
timestamp.
Wallace and then quit.
Oh my gosh.
And then,
There we go.
We'll leave it open. We'll leave it open ended.
Love it.
We got
As
to
you should.
We got to figure out something on that. So, can you talk a little bit about like how your income is broken down now? Like, can you share how much you make on a video like that?
It fluctuates so wildly it's almost pointless to track. For example, I have 2 videos that have the exact same amount of views, and one of them has precisely half the revenue of the other, so it's pretty goofy. But an easy way to break it down, just from my experience, is you can estimate that per 100,000 views you may be netting $1,000. So for example, if you get 1 million views, maybe you could be like, oh, 5 figures right there. That's the baseline that goes so that I can plan like business ventures. Like, okay, if I upload these and I'm going to get this amount of views, maybe I'll make this much. But then we run into crazy issues like videos getting demonetized 19 days after they were approved by YouTube, or clips I didn't realize were copyrighted, just completely negating any revenue potential I had. But yeah, in terms of just like, if I had to break down an average, I would definitely say like 10K per 1M is an easy analysis.
Got it. And then you're also now doing sponsors in the videos?
Definitely.
Is there any other income source that you found through YouTube?
Yes, Twitch is an income source as well. It's like not a super big one. That one's mostly for my enjoyment because I like live streaming and like for example, I know people make a lot of donations or they make a lot of money via donations on Twitch, but I capped my donations at $5 because honestly, I'm just there to have fun. But if you if like the things I send to my CPA are the revenue I'm getting from AdSense, which is pretty substantial, brand deals, which thanks to my manager being like super on top of it this year, it's kind of scary, has become much more substantial than it was before. And Twitch is now a source of revenue, not through ads though. That's one thing no one talks about, I guess, because like no one wants to be that guy, but I would go ahead and complain. Twitch ads are terrible. They don't pay. I don't understand why Twitch lets you run ads. Like I'll run an ad during a stream and then realize I made like less than $1 off of an ad run with over 1,000 viewers. It's so strange. So that's negligible, but thankfully we still get Twitch revenue through subscriptions and other things like that.
That should be your next video. Twitch
Expose
What,
ad
like
Twitch.
Twitch ads are terrible.
Are terrible.
Yes.
Twitch ads must be stopped.
Me complaining about not making enough for ads, and I
Ads
have like
have
5
gone-
ad breaks in the video.
Yeah, ads have gone too far. Ads are
They
out
have,
of
though.
control.
Ads and why they should go away forever. No, but I mean, it would be great. It would be the best thing in the world if obviously I was keeping all the money that I'm making. But obviously, like what with me being self-employed, taxes are a pretty substantial. Just got into the wind, despite everything I do to make sure that I'm being as efficient as possible. Working with my CPA is giving me all these tips like, no, don't do that. You're so dumb. Please do this instead. I do all these things and then it's still like the money evaporates. So there's that. And then of course I'm paying editors and a moderator as well as my manager. Like there's honestly, I spend a lot on the business itself because if I don't treat it like a business, then it's not going to run like a business and that's not going to come in handy in the future. Right now, I'm very lucky. I'm extremely fortunate that I can kind of theoretically, I guess, upload anything and get views is one way of looking at it. But I understand that's not going to be the case forever. So I'm really just looking at it as how can I maximize where I am right now and build a foundation so that in the future I can transition into more eclectic projects and still maximize the potential of those as well.
How many people do you have on your team?
Off the top of my head, it depends on like what you consider. Like for example, my manager is definitely on my team, as well as my 2 editors. Plus, I have 1 staff moderator, though I do have other moderators on my team. And then, so I guess you could say those are like the 4 core people in terms of like who's actually being paid. But then outside of that, I have my whole moderation team. They're just like a flawless moderation team. They keep my Twitch stream running so well. Of course, I have my CP as well. I have people like from, you know how you get like a partner manager via YouTube, they reach out every few months. I definitely consider them to be, you know, they don't work for me, but we definitely work together as well. So there's a lot of people who do a lot of things to make sure that things go smoothly for me. So I'm appreciative. And because of that, I'm able to just try to get out the most consistent and most quality product that I can.
How much would you say that costs you every month?
I try not to think about that. But in terms of just like who's getting paid what, it's definitely 5 figures for sure.
Okay.
No matter what happens. And that was a big commitment I made at the beginning of this year because I was like, am I going to commit to paying other people a total of 5 figures a month? That means I'm going to have to make substantially more than that every month, which means I can't stop. And I was like, but you know what? I like the idea of like not being able to stop. I like the idea of like supporting other people and having a reason to do this, because the worst part of being self-employed is technically not having a reason. There's really no impetus when like you're your own boss. It's like, yeah, I could upload today or I could just stay in bed and not do anything. So structuring it the way I did, it was an extreme overhaul at the beginning of this year, was very intentional just so it could facilitate me being in a place to treat this the way I should, which is just, you know, stay on topic, continue to provide quality. Otherwise, people are not going to want to watch. And just most importantly, like more than anything, have something that I can look back and be proud of. We've uploaded an absurd amount of videos this year, considering the quality level. And I can look back at all of them and be like, yeah, those are all really good videos because I had people helping me and because, you know, I did the things I was supposed to. But 5K or 5 figures.
Yeah. Do you do your own editing right now or no?
For the videos that you watch, yes.
Okay.
The very long videos, no one has ever like touched a single file of footage for those other than me. But my other channel where I upload multiple times a week, those videos are, I have my 2 editors for that. And then I upload a couple of them, but I try not to because it's inefficient.
That reminds me very similar of my main channel. It's just like, it's, I want to say 95% me, and then Jack and I will convene at the, usually either before or after I film a video about like titles, thumbnails. But yeah, all the editing, planning, all of that is all me. And I've always wanted to maintain that. And then Jack does a second channel. Alex is now editing this podcast. Hey, Alex.
Hey.
So,
Howdy.
yeah.
Would you ever give up the editing privileges of your primary channel, your long form content channel, or is that something that you want to do forever?
I definitely would not trade that over just because I feel like, and this is maybe not something I should feel like, but I think a lot of the reason that channel is successful is because people kind of get the vibe that it's just me. It's just something I'm very passionate about, and I was able to transition that into a video. And of course, there are like the most talented editors out there who could absolutely bring my vision to life. And they do for my other channel as well, but it's just a passion project. That's something I've come to the conclusion of, like, sure, I could treat this like it is business, but I could treat it like it's just a business and I'm just a businessman, and every waking hour of my life has to be efficient and nothing should be done that someone else can do. But I really been teaching myself, like, honestly, passion is a big part of longevity in the first place. So just because I am so passionate about the videos that go up there, I foresee myself doing all the editing.
Do you think you could see yourself burning out at some point in the future, or have you created such a good balance that you think you could coast on this for forever?
I've done it at some points in the past already, for sure. As far as burnout goes, it's an interesting concept, right? Because in many ways, I do consider this job to be easier than other jobs I've had, but then at the same time, I also consider it to be the hardest thing I've ever done, which I feel like is hard to explain because, like, as like a YouTuber or influencer or whatever people wants to call you, if like you start talking about my job is difficult, of course, you know, you get shut down. But I feel like if I'm like careful about explaining what it really is that I find difficult and where the burnout comes from, people understand. A large thing, I think, is just having other people that you're responsible for, because that's what happens when you're like employing people. And for context, I am 22, so I'm obviously, you know, fully grown man, but at the same time, I'm not that old in terms of like having all this business experience to necessarily match the level that the business has gotten at. So that's certainly something that weighs on me from time to time. On a good day, I'm just like, I'm fortunate enough to be able to support all these people. On a bad day, I'm like, oh no, if I don't perform, it's a bunch of people who are not going to get paid. That doesn't seem right. But that's one factor that can contribute to burnout. Another is just trying to be too good, if that makes sense. Because first of all, like, you're never going to be that good. You know, like, you've always just got to do your best, but you can't turn it into like a high art form. So the periods of time I can look back where I was just getting obsessed with having quote unquote the best videos definitely has led me to burnout. But I just remind myself, people are not watching me for the best videos or because I'm the smartest in the room or anything like that. I'm not. It's just because they can tell I put a lot into it. You know what I mean? So because I've experienced so much burnout in the past, I take precautions to avoid it in the future, if that makes sense.
Wait, hold up for a second. You said you're 22?
Yes.
And you graduated from college in 2018?
Yes.
How did this happen?
Because I started when I was 15, just about to turn 16. And it was, August, because that would have been fall. August of 2014, entered college. It was about what you would expect from a 15-year-old starting a bachelor's degree program.
Wait, we gotta hold up. So how do you do like
Did you skip
walk us through
high school?
Yeah, you straight up just you went straight from like
Middle school
to
to
college. How does that like? Did you go from 8th grade to be like, all right, I'm going to college?
Well, I was like fortunate enough to not have a traditional grade structure, if you will, because I was homeschooled. So instead of just like,
Yeah, that's it. Efficiency.
Yeah.
They could speed you
Absolutely.
through a lot of that. So wait, so explain that whole process then.
So the main milestones that I guess my parents were looking for in terms of like, are you good, were can you pass the SAT? Because obviously that's the entrance to American college. So I took the SAT once and passed it. And I was 15, because you can take it at any age. I feel like that's something not everyone knows. Like, you don't have to have quote unquote finished any grade, if you will. You just have to meet the requirements and then you can take it. So I took it initially and it was definitely good enough to get me in. But I said, and I would not do this today, by the way, this was just me being like a cocky 15-year-old. I was, or maybe I was 14, I don't remember. I was like, I can do better. I was like, I'm going to take the SAT again and I'm going to get a perfect score on the reading section. And I took it again. I did not get a perfect score on the reading section, but I was only 2 points off or something like that. It was before they changed the structure of the test. Like, whatever my score was, like 1700 or something like that, doesn't mean anything, because shortly after me taking it, they changed it. And I think the highest score is like higher than that now. But it was a pretty darn high score. I was very like lucky enough to get through that. And so that was enough to get me into the honors program, and they were super excited to have me. So the college helped facilitate a lot of that as well. Honestly though, like, I don't consider myself like, oh, I'm super smart and, you know, I was 15 years old doing a bachelor's program. It was more just like, I can just narrow things down to what I need to take from it, if that makes sense. It's the exact same thing I do in my YouTube videos, which is why people watch them. So instead of just being like, I need to have all the wherewithal of an 18-year-old, which of course is not very much, I can say that now that I'm in my 20s, I was just more so like, how much do I actually need to know to do well on the SAT? And that's what I took from that. And so from there forward, it was all, you know, fun and games.
Did you get your GED, or your parents sped you through like every grade? Instead of spending a year, you're spending like 7 months on it?
Yeah, basically the way the requirements work in my state is like, it's a full graduation thing, because Texas is pretty lenient, which is like either good or bad. There's a lot of interesting things that go on in terms of homeschooling, but my parents were just so gosh darn efficient. They were like, at the end of each year, they just took a stock of like, okay, what level are you with this? And do you think you could pass this? And if I couldn't, they didn't push me into it. They were like, okay, so this year we're going to work on this. So like, for example, I remember one year was kind of like an essay workshop, because obviously essays are a pretty big part of the college experience. So I came out of that like writing a mean essay, which unironically I would say still contributes to my videos today, because I can write a mean video in a very short amount of time. And I remember one year I was like stocking up on math credits as well, just because it's like, you know, you got to be able to do the little bit of math that's used, because my parents like went to college, so they understood it's not the way it's structured. People make you think you need like every single credit from every single class, that way you can be a fully functional adult. You don't. You just need to take the required courses and take everything from each one that you need, and then just move on with your life. So that's kind of how I survived college.
Who are your parents? I want to know about them. What do they do?
Yeah. Funnily enough, my dad has the exact same job, just not on YouTube. He works for a bank.
It's the exact same job. He's on YouTube. He's a commentary channel.
Yeah.
Gosh. His name is Ethan Klein. No, I'm kidding.
Imagine if my dad was a commentary channel, he would probably have more subscribers than me.
Oh,
because
wow.
I think he's funnier. But the thing about that is, my dad just knows video. That's, from my understanding as his son, that's all he ever did. That's all I ever remember, was just like he was editing something. And even now he works for a bank and he does internal video stuff for them, which I didn't know banks had internal video teams until like I showed up at his job, and like he took me through all like the computer rooms where they have, and I was like, wow, video is universal. And this was before I was even thinking about being a YouTuber. I was just kind of like, I guess, shown the power of like video content to convey ideas and how you can go anywhere in life, but you're always going to need somebody to film it in some way, shape, or form, like no matter what it is. Schools need videos for presentations, banks need videos to show their internal teams, etc. And then, so I would say the main thing I got from my dad was just like an absolute love of all things video. Like even now, like when I'm submitting you with this Sony a6600 and we got a Shure SM7B, it's pretty clean. It might be peaking a little bit because I need to work on the distance, but I'm obsessed with that and I definitely blame him. As far as my mom, the main thing I got from her was just efficiency. She's just so smart. Like I know people say like I'm smart and I appreciate it, but legitimately that woman is just scary smart. She can look at any sort of problem. Well, I mean, she raised me, so she could definitely look at problems and analyze the best way of dealing with them. And just from like a young age, instead of, I guess, like me going to her for everything, she would always help me, but she would always explain ways that maybe I could have approached it myself as well. And that was such a good blend, because I feel like so many parents, they either do it for you and you don't learn anything, or like they force you to figure it out, or you still don't really learn anything. But because my mom had this like, I'll help you, but I'm also going to walk you through it, I've always just believed I can tackle any problem that way, and it's definitely true. So shout out my parents for like the actual rock solid foundation. I've been able to scale it upward into where we are today, and hopefully on to bigger and better things.
What do they think about what you're doing right now, and you quitting the gas station job?
Yeah, were they upset you left the gas station?
Of course they were upset you left the gas station, because from their point of view was like, you have a job and you're working at a gas station even though you have a bachelor's degree. Why are you exiting the job force? Why are you exiting the workforce? And I was like, don't worry about it. Because I knew like how much money YouTubers could make, even though I was making, I made $1,000, by the way. That was the number in 1 month, where I was like, yay, I can quit. It was not very much. So with like some extreme budgeting, when I told them, and that was my mistake for saying, yeah, I'm just waiting until I make the same amount of money from the gas station, because they knew how much that was. So they were just like, why would you quit a job when you just made kind of not enough from YouTube? But having been analyzing my own analytics for so long, I was just like, every time I was just like, just wait, just keep watching. And I was kind of telling them like, hey, I kind of made twice as much this month as I did before, and they were like skeptical. But now fast forward and it's just like, hey, I just signed like a 5-figure deal again. And now they understand why I quit the gas station job.
Were you worried, or were they worried about you being homeschooled and not having that like socialization of like going to a school with all your buddies around, or what was that like?
Yeah. I always hear, and I understand that concern. But honestly, I just got out of the house so much, I was fine. Like we would go to the park or like just to various events, and I never felt like I was starved of attention or friends or anything like that. Part of that too is because I wasn't an only child. Maybe if I was, I might not have had anyone, but trust me, the house was never empty. I had no shortage of like friends either. Just it was fun. But yeah, just there was no real like bump in the road, I guess. It was a natural progression from homeschool into college. It was very fun.
I take it on college you're not gonna you weren't living in the dorms, right? Or were you?
No, I was. Okay. I think I was too young.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if it would have been allowed.
Did you go to any college parties?
No, honestly, even though I'm sure I wasn't quote unquote allowed to, I wouldn't have wanted to anyway. I was extremely like kind of cutthroat in college. Like I got there and I gravitated towards this friend group, and maybe I shouldn't admit this. Sure. And so at the end of the semester, I took stock and I was like, how much time did I spend with these people, and how much did we all accomplish together? And I came to the conclusion it wasn't enough. So I dropped that entire first semester friend group, nicely, of course. And I kind of found my core crew, and they were all people who were very similar to me. Like we were people who, it was a miracle that we were going to college. You know what I mean? Like, sure, my dad obviously has a degree and my mom, I think, spent some time at college as well. But it's still a pretty big deal that I was the first person to really get like a bachelor's degree from a university. So it was important. It just, I didn't feel like I was allowed, I guess, to like mess around. Now, me being slightly older, I completely understand. It wasn't the end of the world. I definitely could have stood to have some fun, but there was no shortage of it with my friends, because like our idea of fun was like, we're gonna all finish this godforsaken essay that none of us care about, and then we're just gonna watch YouTube. Interestingly enough, we watched a lot of Team 4 Star, I remember at the time.
Wow.
Was YouTube something you knew you always wanted to do, or when did you decide that that is what you wanted to pursue?
It just came from me always wanting to make videos, you know what I mean? My only regret is that I don't have every single video I've created, because I feel like I'm trying to scale them up so high in terms of quality. I would love to like look back at where I started. But the main one I remember, and I was definitely 13 years old, because I remember having just turned 13. It was quite the riot, as the 13th birthday is. I had made a fake advertisement for visiting Niagara Falls. A very young teenager-y thing to do, because it was like no money to be made off of it. I was just like, this is funny. I can download pictures off the internet and put them into a video. This is insane. So I created like this fake advertisement. I want to say that my dad shared it in some capacity. I don't remember how, but even just the little bit of engagement, if you will, I was like, very interesting. So I've always showed the videos that I've created to my friends, even before the YouTube channel that people know me for, or either one was in existence. There was a different YouTube channel that I would upload videos to, and that one wound up getting less than 200 subscribers, but still just some subscribers as well. But it wasn't even for like public consumption. I was just leaving the videos public and sending them to my friends because they wanted like art advice. It was just, but yeah, I would say more so than always wanting to be a YouTuber, I have just always been driven to create things. And I feel the most fulfilled when I work hard on something, it turns out the way I want it to. And then I can see that people are getting some form of enjoyment or entertainment or education or enlightenment for it. Then I'm like, yay, I'm here for a reason. And I did what I was supposed to do.
We should talk about some drama now.
Probably. We need some views.
I know. When's the David Dobrik video coming out? I feel like that's the next.
Isn't that the hot topic? Interestingly enough, I'm not releasing a video about David Dobrik. I know from like a business standpoint, that's a very strange thing to say, but the reason I'm not doing it is because I've recently been kind of the same thing I did after my first semester of college, where I took stock of like, who am I hanging around and what am I getting for this? I really realized I can still make all of these valid points I have to make, but some people in some situations are just so played out. I don't necessarily have much to add to it. You know what I mean? I know, like I literally know deep down, even now, if I just went back on my word and just put up a David Dobrik video anyway, it would probably get 7 to 10 million views initially. Right. It might have 15 in a year or so. But the problem is, it's right back to what we were talking about initially. Like, is my heart in it? No. I think most people know what the situation is. You know what I mean? I think everyone knows what the David Dobrik situation is. Even though I have points to make about it, I was happy to make them, kind of on a stream outside of that. And that's not the only situation either. There's him for sure. I know James Charles is going through it, if you will, as well. Just there's a list of people now that I try to think, if I don't have anything to contribute, is it possible that I may actually be losing something? Not financially, obviously, but of myself from, diving too far into this. And that's definitely part of my risk assessment before videos now.
So you just like being first to the chase, like with the huge groundbreaking report?
No, you can't, because but he was saying earlier, it's like you got to wait for like the dust to settle so you can get all the facts. Yeah. So it's like you can't.
For context, my biggest video series, which is not online anymore, but my biggest video series, I made a good 1 month after the whole situation ended. And on top of that, one of the videos in that series focused on something that had happened like a year and a half beforehand. I would say it's some sort of fluke, which I will forever be grateful for, but I am kind of able to still bring up older situations and have people watch. Like, one series I'm very proud of is my Paul Brothers series, because that wasn't just another I don't like Logan Paul video. I actually did like an analysis. There was a lot of storytelling about my personal opinion of how Logan Paul has evolved a little bit, and it's kind of underrated. And that was just like old news though.
Yeah,
like for me, it was more about the story.
I liked that video a lot, and
you watched that one?
I did. I watched. I would say probably of that main channel of yours. I probably watch. I've seen every video. At least going back like a year and a half.
Yeah, that's where all the good ones are.
Right. But I remember watching that Logan Paul video and initially going into it being like, okay, he's going to be a hater. I'm not going to agree with some of these points. Maybe he's changed. But I remember watching the video and thinking like you were very fair. And it was you covered every perspective. You covered all the sides. And I walked away thinking like, you know what? Maybe you went into this with a bit of an agenda, or like you had some preconceived thoughts of where this was going to go, but you had the humility throughout the video to kind of shift your perspective a little bit. And I thought was very fair.
Thank you. Well, that's the thing. I don't need to be correct. I just need to be right. Like, more so, I don't always have to have the last word. I just need to know that I gave the most fair interpretation of the situation so that I can feel good about it. And yeah, I was like, bro, this is easy. Paul Brothers, I'm going to get some views. Nobody likes them. But the more I dug into Logan Paul's channel specifically, I was like, this is freaking fascinating. Like, I am obsessed more than anything with like growth for myself, of course, but the inspiration from my personal growth comes from other people, I would say, more than anything, just because I haven't had that experience. So like looking at him just come from where he was to where he is now, instead of just seeing like random internet dude bro that everyone hates number 4, I was like, this is crazy. This is like a small town kid. He just got everything way too quickly. Didn't know what the heck to do with it. Made the biggest mistake in the world for that week anyway. And then instead of just, I guess, embracing his new villain era, he took that as like a signal that he could change things around. And now if I take stock of where he is and the kind of ideas he's putting out there, I find myself agreeing with a lot of it. I like, where he is. Of course, I don't agree with everything the dude does, but I was like, even though I would still get views, and I still give the video a negative title, by the way, because I did need the views, but even though I would still get views and appreciation for just like trashing Logan Paul for 45 minutes to an hour, I was like, maybe people will be receptive to the same journey I went through in terms of research. And thankfully, people were. A lot of people were like, no. I'm still not a fan. This is nothing from me. But there were a lot of people who were like, wow, I never thought of him like that. And that was really a teachable moment for me. I was just like, oof, I have a lot more power than I realized. Not something I gave myself, but I can be mindful. I can tell other versions of stories that we're all familiar with.
Would you make videos on positive topics and like highlight good in a sense that like because right now it's leaning into like, and I get it, the negative aspect. I if anyone who understands that the stock market falling does 10 times the amount of views as the stock market went up. I get it. Do you have this the same mindset as that it's easier to lean in with the negative and then change perspectives? Or would you ever do a video like highlighting, let's say like Mr. Beast goes and does, donates, blah, blah, blah. Like, would you ever do something like that?
I really just look for points I can make more so than like whether situation's good or bad. The point I was gonna make with the Paul Brothers initially just wound up changing so far off course, and that became a journey in and of itself. But I have like a few videos on positive topics. They're not the ones that I'm known for. Interesting, of course not. Why would I be known for those? I have a couple of really good album reviews on there. On my other channel, I did like just a whole it was obviously a shorter video, but like about Dolly Parton and the things I like there. But as far as just like me like doing the exact same process to a more positive topic, I don't want to give too much away, but I've been toying with the idea of just going off on this really obscure thing that nobody cares about. Because the thing is, like, you've got to experiment. first of all, I'm very grateful to have the subscribers and the views I have. But if I just keep doing the same thing over and over, and it's like bad thing of the week number 4, sure, I'll keep getting that. But am I going to get any growth from that? No, because clearly that's one thing I can do well. So I want to make a video where I bring the same level of obsession with detail, but to something very obscure. I just want to see how many people watch it and what they think about me.
What is it? We want to know.
I don't want to say because then
we'll bleep it out. Deal?
Okay, perfect.
Bleep it out, Alex. Okay.
I want to upload.
Wow. You know what?
I would love it.
That's interesting. I don't know if it would hit with me. I would. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to tell you from my perspective, and this is now your non-audience. I'd click on it, and if it doesn't hook me in the first minute or two, I'm out. Because it's not a topic that I would be interested. But if you hooked me after a minute or two, I'd be like, all right, let me give this 5 minutes. If I'm still hooked, let me give this 10 minutes. And then after like 12, you got me for the rest of the video.
I would eat that up. I would love a video like that.
No worries. I always go through that reverse engineering process just because I understand. I would say more than the first minute, like the first 30 seconds are it. No matter how many sponsors I have, well, it's only ever one per video. No matter how big the sponsor is or how many topics I'm talking about, if you don't provide some sort of roadmap, or just even a teaser of what to expect, or some sort of flash or appeal. I tend to lean into the flash aspect. Like I will edit this like banger intro. I'll download music and I've got like the instrumentals going off with the audio clips, like something you would see on Netflix, just because I need people to be like, I see that you've chosen to spend an hour. Very interesting. I spent a lot of time on this as well. So we can like spend this hour together. So yes, were I to do this sort of topic, I would absolutely treat it with the same like, hey, I'm going to respect your time because I'm just grateful for one view, let alone however many it's going to get. But also you're about to see how much time I spent on this as well. I feel like it's so infectious.
Wow. What other topics do you think you might want to talk about that you would want to bring light to that maybe people don't know about, or like issues that you see? Doesn't need to be YouTube related. It could be something, preferably something outside YouTube, or something that you see where it's like, that might make a good video. I don't know about that, but this is an issue that I think is worth bringing up.
I guess if I was to make some sort of like the last video I would ever make, or the most important video I would ever make that I don't see too many people talking about, I would just want to upload a video telling people like what it's actually like to be a YouTuber, if you will, because obviously the only thing people see is like, well, this is the only thing people can see. It's like a box basically, which is a window into your room. You know, we have a play button, we have some cool stuff, studio lights, but so much work goes into it. So much money of your own pocket money is involved. So many feelings and experiences and relationships that you have to form as well. And it does affect you. I feel like because I had no idea and I only ever saw people playing video games or talking about funny videos, I was just so wildly unprepared. Because so many people want to be YouTubers, understandably, I would love to just spend the same amount of detail, like outlining how it's been for me, things you might have to look out for, you know, why a lot of it is as good as it seems and why some of it is not. That's definitely something I feel like people don't talk about enough. And I understand why. Again, people are not, I guess, receptive to having the magic broken, because then they can start feeling alienated very easily. But I feel like the majority of the problems I experience as a YouTuber just come from the fact that I am not a YouTuber. I'm just a person. You know what I mean? Anyone in this situation would probably just have similar feelings. There's just so many things that don't get solved, I guess, by having your dream job. And that's kind of what I would love to make a video about.
Where do you take it from here?
In terms of
just general.
Do you want to continue making YouTube videos for the rest of your life?
Oh,
or would you
that's
like
a
to
great.
move on to something else?
Well, the rest of your life is big wording.
I tell everybody politics. You got a good voice for politics. I think people would vote for you.
That's true, actually. Yeah. Forget the policies. I could deliver them very compellingly.
You could. You would do your policies through like a 1 hour YouTube video.
Yes. Wait.
That's
kind of not a terrible idea.
It's a good. Yeah, and you would just demolish all your competition by
Oh
putting
my
together
Absolutely.
like a
Oh
hit
my
piece.
I'm
God.
uploading a reaction video to your speech tonight. Look out for that.
Yeah, reacting to
That would be horrifying.
Dude, no, that would be so good. Yeah, imagine just doing
Yes.
reaction videos and like coming out with your own hit pieces of just like why you shouldn't vote for the other person.
Yes.
I would love that. Oh gosh.
I would so watch that. No, as far as what I'm going to be doing in the future, certainly not YouTube for the rest of my life. I will probably be uploading videos to this platform in some form or another, just because this is where I put my MP4 files. That's how it started off before I had any subscribers, and that's how it'll be no matter how many people are there to watch them. But I definitely do have, I would say, bigger projects on the horizon, things I'm trying to work really hard behind the scenes with like a team of people that I've brought on, because I want to create just other things for people to experience. I'm really, really, really glad and fortunate. I've just been too lucky. It's almost a little suspicious how well this has all worked out for me, but because I've been given this opportunity, I'm gonna do the same thing I did when I had like 3,000 subscribers. How far can I take this? So all manner of upcoming content, whether that's like fiction instead of nonfiction, whether you see me, I don't know, on bigger screens than YouTube or anything like that, or behind the scenes, anything like that, are just things I've been working on for a while now. And once I'm finally ready to kind of debut where I've been headed with this, I think everyone's going to be quite excited for it. But even if they're not, I've only ever needed what I've only ever had, which was just the will to create these things and enough people who are interested in seeing what it was I had to say this time.
Where are you saving your money now that you're making?
Ha! I'm
You investing
saving
it?
all of my money. As far as investments, I have a lot of it stored away for investing in the future, but I'm trying to secure a house first just before we start looking into like putting money into other places. Not like anything crazy. I'm not moving into a TikTok mansion, but after that, yeah, I'm definitely going to look into ways of diversifying everything that I have to make my money work for me. Because after you have a certain amount, it's like there's no reason to run out ever again. And
Right.
I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I might kind of be getting there. So yeah, I'm bringing on advisors for sure.
Got it. You don't need advisors. You don't need advice.
I
Honestly,
mean,
just,
I have my dad. That's
Yeah.
advisor number 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, sure.
And then my CPA helps me as well. And
Okay.
then maybe just one other individual.
got it. So you say you're saving pretty much all of it. Is that the truth? Almost all of it just gets saved?
Yeah. It's like you would think I sell drugs. That's how much money that's how much I just leave the money in the account and don't touch it.
Oh.
If you stumbled upon it, you would be like, what's going on here? But again, it's just there for a split second because I got to get these bigger purchases out of the way. And then, yeah, I'm going to look at what can I do with this? Some of it's going to work for me. Some of it I'm going to invest right into my bigger projects. I can start additional businesses other than the one I'm running right now. It's like the sky's the limit. It's very exciting stuff. But yeah, as far as like spending, I'm just not a big spender. Like my car, for example, is I don't
Be
even
like, it's a Bentley Bentayga.
yeah. Well, no, it's a Royce. No, it's a Chevy Impala,
Okay.
2019.
Nice.
It's nice. It's not the best ever. It's like not even a Tesla.
Is it the Sport? Is it the SS?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's just, yeah, first of all, I don't even do enough driving for that. But yeah, as far as like paying for a lifestyle, that's something I've completely opted out of. So like the money I'm able to make kind of winds up going a long way for me, which I'm very fortunate. It gives me more to like put into the projects I'm excited about and stuff like that. But yeah, I happen to not have expensive taste, which is a cool combo with making some cash every now and then.
How many credit cards do you have?
Not too many. My credit score is actually, this isn't like doxing or anything, I guess, but my credit score is excellent. According to Credit Karma, it's barely. If I like do one wrong thing, it might drop back into good instead of excellent.
Is it?
But yeah,
Is it above
I've been killing it.
750? Above 750?
Yeah,
Oh, so it's
barely.
higher
I
than
think
Jack's.
it's 753.
Oh yeah, it's higher than Jack's.
Yeah, and we're gonna get it up higher than ever.
Yeah, it's our running joke that everyone has a higher credit score than Jack.
Oof, that hurts.
Yeah.
How much Dogecoin do you have?
1 million.
That's pretty
Wait,
good.
actually?
Yeah. We
No.
were actually talking about this.
Wait, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, jeez. You got me for a second. Because I would have believed it. Like, you could have bought 1 million Dogecoin not to, 6 months ago. It wouldn't have been that much.
Yeah, actually, it wouldn't because it was less than a cent, right?
Yeah, I bought in at
Yeah, it was
less
like
than
a
half
third
a
of a
penny.
cent. It was a third of a cent.
Yeah, I
back
actually
then.
probably could have bought 1 million.
Yeah.
Jeez, but
How much did I buy
no.
back then?
You bought in 1,000, so you got like 250,000.
Yeah,
Dogecoin?
jeez.
$250,000.
Nice.
Gosh. Man, I was about to ask something. What was I about to ask?
I wanted to ask, how methodical and like analytical were you in growing your YouTube channel? Or did you just kind of have an idea like, I'm just going to put out the best possible content. It doesn't matter when, just whenever it's done, and you just post it and you had like growth through that? Or were you very analytical with your stats and stuff like that and posting dates and times and stuff?
It was a mix of things. The beauty of YouTube's algorithm being an algorithm are that there are pathways within that to replicate and predict success. And there's also a level of random numbers just being thrown everywhere, controlling who gets seen where. So it's not very random, I'll tell you that. It's certainly not as mystical as people seem to think it is. So yes, a lot of the YouTube success I would absolutely attribute to just me being cognizant of what I was posting, when I was posting, and how I was presenting the content in a way that maximizes viewers. But me getting like over 2 million subscribers now, a lot of that did just come from videos just popping off. I was like, I made a good video and it just went way crazier than anyone could have expected, which I'm very lucky. And so yeah, I can't like take credit like, yeah, I from day one knew I was gonna have 2 million subscribers by this date. I was just more like, yeah, I'm probably gonna be able to continue an upward trajectory. And then like last year, it was just went like this.
Yeah. This is the question I was going to ask. Do you think Jack should sell his Dogecoin?
To me, yes.
Okay.
At a discount, probably.
So Jack put in $100 and it's now worth
15 grand.
$15,000. I'm telling him to sell. Dogecoin
Well,
is at an
no.
all-time high. No, you know.
There we go.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sell doesn't sound like hold to me.
Yeah.
It's a weird spelling of hold.
Yeah. Thanks, D'angelo. That's what I thought.
What would Elon Musk say? You know what I mean?
Diamond
If
hands,
Elon
you have
Musk
to
was
hold.
sitting on that couch right across from you, would you really look that man in the face and say, I'm going to sell my Dogecoin?
You know what? That's actually a great point. Thank you for raising such
Don't do
a
that.
great
I'm-
point.
So right now, for reference, at the time we're filming this, it's 64 cents. And
Nice.
it's tough for me because I remember us filming a podcast a year ago, almost a year ago, like exactly, almost, where it was trading at 0.034 cents each, and I put $1,000 in it, and that today would be worth, I think it was 150,000, 155,000. Immediately after the podcast was over, I'm like, that's stupid. I sold it.
Oh no!
Immediately afterwards. And
That
I would have
hurts.
turned 1,000 into 150. I would have made like 3 times the amount that this podcast has made over the last year from 60 seconds of a joke in a podcast.
That hurts so bad. I feel like when time travel inevitably gets invented, it's not going to be NASA. It's not going to be some offspring of Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's just going to be someone who's so determined to go back in time and invest in the right crypto and stocks
I got
How though?
that they pull this off.
If that existed, then wouldn't we now be like receiving people coming from the future? Like,
Yeah.
Not if they
My
were very
kids or
careful
something?
about it.
Because here's an interesting thing that someone was talking about on Reddit, and the concept was, if you could go back 10 years from now and you would have a choice to go and invest in Bitcoin 10 years ago and you knew what it was going to do, but your future wasn't guaranteed, would you go and take that opportunity? And the top answer was like, absolutely. I would go and I would invest in Bitcoin back then, and I would get to relive like the greatest moments of my life. And I could have all my friends invest with me, and we could all be mega wealthy, and our lives would be great. Imagine this is a movie though, where somebody today goes back 10 years from now. And somebody today, by the way, who has like an amazing family, they have a happy job they're living in, but they just want like, hey, I want to help out my family and like, and have all this money and be able to help everyone else around me, but they have a loving family. Imagine if they went back, they bought Bitcoin, but somehow by them buying Bitcoin or like one little action along the way caused Bitcoin to become worthless. And now all of a sudden that because they bought Bitcoin, they didn't meet the love of their life. They didn't have their family. They screwed everything up along the way. And not only that, but what they came back in time for is now worthless. Imagine that as a movie. Imagine that. And just the whole, that is
that
the
would hurt my feelings.
I think he wants you to make a movie about this. That's what he's
I just thought that would be such an incredible movie because it's not what you would expect. You would have to find a way for this to be like, for there to be some sort of happy ending. But
how would you resolve that? I guess he would have to undo it or something like that.
I don't know, but it just,
he presses the wait go back button,
do over button. But no, it's an interesting thing that even if you were able to go back in time for certain things, just like you'd make the wrong turn on one street, and maybe because of that someone gets delayed from their job, and because of that they get fired, and because they got fired they started a business that competes with, like, there's just so many different things that I think could happen.
It is crazy to think about. I mean, even in context of my own life, it's exactly like that. What if the one video I put up was one of the mini videos that was just on my PC? I'm like, I'm not gonna upload that like right this second. I'll do it when I come back home. And then I didn't.
You know what's a crazy moment? Yeah, crazy moment for me. I've actually never shared this ever. When I was probably just I think I was 18 years old, and this is right before I sold my first house as a real estate agent. So maybe like 6 or 7 months in doing all these leases. But I think I got onto the show. I think it was like Entourage or something like that. I think it was one of those sort of shows, and for like a week, I thought like, you know what? I haven't sold a house as a real estate agent. I'm going to be a talent agent, and I'm going to be able to represent like celebrities. And so like during my downtime, late at night, I was sitting there writing an email to like the top person at CAA. And now for those that aren't aware, like in order to be a talent agent, you either need to have a direct like connection or like be kind of like born into that sort of family, or you have to work at the mailroom. And then you work your way up. It's very much one of those business. You don't just start out as an agent. You got to work your way up. So I got the top person at CAA, and I had got their email address, and I wrote out like this really detailed email, basically pitching myself of like why I wanted to come work with them and why I would be like the perfect person for that position. And I was about to send it. But the guy I was working with at the time came in the office, and this must have been like 9:30, 10, and he brought his son in with the office. And his son must have been like 4 or 5 years old at the time, and goes in and just presses the off button on the not the monitor, but like the actual like computer itself. The whole computer turns off, and I was like, I spent all this time doing the email and like and then of course I turn it back on. The whole thing is gone. No draft, nothing. I don't know what happened. It didn't save.
Gosh.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to send that email. I put so much, I was so like disgruntled over that. I was just like, I can't put, because I couldn't recreate that. Like when you're in the mood, and I was just like fed up that I didn't sell a house. And I was just like, I put my heart and soul in this email.
Right. This is my chance.
I couldn't get in that same mindset again to write that at the same caliber. And obviously now, but part of me wonders what would have happened if that email had sent and I had gotten a response back and I had chosen to leave real estate a month before I would sell a house to go and work as like some talent agent. And maybe that didn't work out. And then I'd have to go back to college and like, so that was one of those moments. In the moment, I was really upset. I'm like, oh, why did you come in? But like looking back, that might have been like that saving grace for me, where he just turns off the computer, and this is like fate being like, no, Graham, bloop. Nope, you're not sending that email. But I wonder,
Yeah.
like in an alternative universe, what would have happened? Maybe nothing. Maybe just that email goes on read. Didn't matter anyway. But it's fun to think about.
I have enough of those moments where I can say, yeah, this is definitely one of those. But it makes me wonder, how many of those moments do I have where I didn't know that was even like that
Yeah.
big of a deal?
Right.
Like something small happens and I'm like, but then that could have been life changing.
I always believe that, and this happens all the time, and I'm sure this happens to everybody. But sometimes you're like, I love my phone inside. Like, you get in the car, and you're like, I don't have my phone, and then I go back inside and look for it for a minute, and then I'm on the freeway, and then there's like the whole bunch of traffic, and then you look at your
Yeah.
phone, and it turns out there's an accident that's like a minute ahead of you. So many times where I'm thinking like, wow, had I left a minute sooner, I would have been right where that accident was. So
Right.
I don't know. But I always believe
Yeah.
that. I always believe that, like, anytime I'm delayed, I never get upset because I'm like, for some reason, this is like the universe telling me I need to be looking for my phone and like delaying me for something. That's what I think.
I believe it. I believe it.
D'Angelo, I just want to know, what's your opinion on the Content Cop series?
I mean, first of all, it's iconic. There's nothing to deny there in terms of its sheer impact on the commentary genre on YouTube. Have they withstood the test of time? It's hard to say. I mean, some of those videos are what, 5 years
6
old?
years old,
Older
yeah.
than 6? Yeah. I remember, like, just by the time I watched them, I don't think they had all come out yet, but a bunch of them had, and I watched every single Content Cop. And I, of course, not being ingrained in YouTube culture, was like, this is insane. There's this dude just dropping bombs on all these crazy people, not knowing that's kind of where I would wind up in a very short amount of time. But I just think like iDubbbz was ahead of the curve in terms of YouTube commentary for sure. I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions, but they're just funny videos, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really consider like Hey and H3H3 in their prime to have just kind of really set the tone for a lot of things that are still going on in commentary YouTube today.
Part of me doesn't know if that would be if iDubbbz were doing those same videos today, if that would be acceptable. I almost feel like that you could get away with that stuff 5-6 years ago, but today it doesn't have the same punch to it like it would back then. Because back then no one was doing it, making these 30-minute long, whole displays. That was big. But now I feel like has it been watered down a little bit? I'm sure if you made a video, everyone would watch. Like, I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah.
I would love it. But I don't. But I think if anything, he'd have to be more careful today. Back 6 years ago, he could say whatever he wanted to, and it was good. But today, it's like I'm watching some of his old unboxing videos, and I did that like 7 months ago to do a lot of research, and like I don't know how he was able to get away with saying the things he did back then, even as a joke. You couldn't do that today.
Well, I just think, I know there's definitely like a debate about YouTube's changing culture, but I just follow the money. I'm just like, of course things are getting more and more sanitized because honestly, advertisers have more and more money to bring to the table. Yeah. And the bigger the advertisers get, the stingier they are, which is why we wind up with like, various levels of YouTube monetization coming from different advertisers. So whereas I, of course, would find it funnier if I was just able to say any and every joke that comes to mind, having to temper things to stay within a reasonable, realm so that I can make sure I'm still maximizing my own reach. I'll allow it for the AdSense.
Yeah, it's tough for me sometimes because I do want to make some edgy jokes or say some dirty jokes that some people might be like, oh, that's PG-13. But yeah, I've done my best to maintain as clean of an image as I can because I just want to be family friendly. And
it works out in the long run more than anything.
Right.
I would say, like, individually from video to video, I'm just like, I have to cut this out because I don't think it comes across the way I want it to, and then it might not work. But if I look back at the amount of times I've done that, I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad I did that because now I have a whole back catalog of content that works for me instead of against me.
Right.
I just want to say, I think that what iDubbbz did with the Content Cops was a little different, though. I feel like even today in YouTube's landscape, it would be pretty tolerated just because of like the lasting impact those videos had on you. I remember like I would watch those videos and I would feel so great afterwards. But then I watched someone else's like expose video, like for example, Leafy is here. Like I would binge all of his content, but still, even after like watching those videos that I loved, it would still leave somewhat of a bad taste in my mouth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which I think is just entirely different to iDubbbz's content cause, which
but some of his videos got removed for bullying. Believe it or not.
I remember. It was the Leafy video. Speaking of Leafy.
I know. So it goes to show that policies are changing. And it's kind of scary too that they could go back and you could make a video today that complies today, but that doesn't get grandfathered in. That you could make a video, it's fine, but 3 years from now, something changes. They could go back and say, "Oh, we don't allow that anymore." It's a little scary.
For sure, and that's why I'm just diversifying and forging a path that leads to opportunities off platform. Because I definitely see it wouldn't be a problem if things didn't change so much. Like if you look at traditional TV, old media, things change over decades. So for 10 years, maybe you're allowed to do this, but then someone's super bored and they write a new law. Now, oops, we've all got to change over to this new format. And so you can very slowly and deliberately track changes in etiquette or even just like technical specifications. Like I remember when everything had to be HD for it to air before that was the case. But with YouTube, it's just like, surprise, we have new guidelines and half of your videos are not following them. And it's just like, what? What is promoting all of this? So yeah, instead of just trying to get too caught up into all of that, I'm just like, oof, what is there to be gained from this situation for me? It's mostly just the connection I have with the people that are here. So I will just make sure I facilitate being able to get the content out to them as efficiently as possible. You know, if YouTube gets in between that, I will just find other ways of doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you get your free stock? Down below in the description when you sign up for public, because it's worth all the way up to $50.
Wait, are you serious? Where's the link again?
It's down below in the description.
Oh, snap. Well, I think after this amazing podcast, I should follow that link and get my free stock.
Yes, because it's worth all the way up to $50. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And D'Angelo, thank you so much for coming on. This has been the best surprise. I feel like every episode, Jack, you should just surprise me with somebody.
How am I supposed to one up this?
I don't
Get
know.
Mr. Beast next.
Yeah, we need Mr.
There we
Beast
go.
on the
Sure.
channel. But seriously, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys like episodes like this, go and destroy the like button. Go and subscribe because it's totally free. You get to see an episode every single week. And then, D'Angelo, we'll link to all of your information down below in the description. Go and check out his channel. Watch these videos. They're absolutely incredible. And yeah,
With
thank
that
you.
said,
With
until
that
next
said,
time.
until next time. 52nd ever episode of the Iced Coffee Hour.